Hi, my name is Kelly Comisher. Welcome back to 90 Day Goal Together with me as we are crushing it. It is week 12. We can see the end in sight. And this week we're visiting the great spiritual traditions of the church that represent six core characteristics of Jesus as named by Richard Foster in his wonderful book, Streams of Living Water, to look for places where we might get the final burst of energy, the fuel that we need to walk out this 90-day goal in pursuit of our life design. And also just thinking about what are spiritual practices we already have and we know and we're comfortable with, and what are ones that maybe we're less familiar with, but they can give us new energy, new life, new places in order to think about how to connect with God. Today's spiritual tradition, characteristic of Jesus, is that of the compassionate tradition, also known as the justice or social justice tradition, but the whole idea of this is living into the great idea that God calls us to love one another, to love our neighbor, to enter into the pain and into the places that hurt, and to help make them whole. This is the tradition that calls us to care for the poor. Amos, the great biblical example of calling God's people to care about the justice that God cares about. God is a God of justice. He is a God of compassion. Jesus called us to care for those in need, to provide for the sick and for the poor. This is an incredible tradition that has brought the people such as Mother Teresa, Dorothy Day of the early 20th century, looking at the hardships and the challenges of the workers in this new industrial age and ways in which we were called and are called to care for people as the church in these challenging situations. Probably one of the greatest ones we know of and think of most fondly, in addition to Mother Teresa, would be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And his emphasis on compassion and creating justice for people as we live and work together in society. So this tradition is a rich tradition, one that looks for ways to create harmony, ways to create wholeness for people, dignity into the people that God has created us to be, knowing that each one of us is a perfect and beloved creation by God, and that we want to honor that and help the world, communities, systems to be able to also honor the dignity of each one of us. So maybe right now that is something that is fueling you. Maybe your 90-day goal has something to do with creating more harmony, being able to extend compassion to people that we do life with. Maybe it is something that has to do with participating in reconciliation or pursuing wholeness in the community. And maybe this is just a place that is one of the great traditions of the church and characteristics of Jesus, something that God calls us to in Scripture that you haven't had spent a lot of time in, and maybe it's a new place for you to get energy for living into the person that God has created you to be. So the compassion tradition, the social justice tradition here that today is something that is reflective of God's heart, and also may be something that will give you fuel as your 90-day goal together with me and with those that you are doing life with. And I would love to hear your stories. I am Kelly at futurechurch.co, and I'm excited to walk this out together as we get ever closer to our 90-day goal by looking at these beautiful traditions of the church, of the ways in which we can follow Jesus and to live into the life design that he has created with us. So Kelly at futurechurch.co, love to hear your stories, and I'll see you tomorrow.